Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ogaga Report on Refresh Nigeria. Did you watch the broadcast of Mr. President to the nation? What were your takeaways? Did he address any of the demands of the protesters? We'll take a look at this. But there are some lessons that we must learn from this protest and how the federal government under Tinubu has addressed them. If we fail to learn these lessons, then it would have been a total waste of time embarking on the protest in the first place. But key on today's episode is the handling of the protest by Tinubu and the way forward for Nigeria. I watched the broadcast, the address, and I tried as much as possible. In fact, I had to watch it again to see which of the demands that the broadcast addressed. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't think that the broadcast addressed any of the demands that the protesters had put forward. Particularly top on the list for me was the issue of the pump price of petrol. I was hoping that the president will address that issue and give particular concessions per the prices of petrol. But what we find is that instead of the prices of petrol coming down per the request of the protesters, what we find is that the price of petrol has gone up. And not that it only went up, it is even becoming difficult for us to get. In fact, yesterday we had to resort to buying black market because we just couldn't get fuel to buy at the filling stations. Filling stations that are even now selling at 1,000 naira, 800 naira, 900 naira blatantly. So I was hoping that the president will address the issue of the pump price of petrol. But rather, what did we see? Excuses and more excuses. The president tried to reel out the programs that he has embarked on and things that he has done in this past 1 year to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians. And I heard more excuses about how he inherited an already broken economy. And when I listened to the excuse, I don't know how you felt about it. What I saw was that the president was trying to sound as if the administration of Buhari was the administration of a different political party, but it was not. If the economy was broken before Tinubu must take responsibility and not use that as an excuse, because the APC is still the same party that produced Buhari, that produced him. So that cannot be an excuse anymore. It's been 8 years and counting of APC. So coming to say that he inherited a broken economy, for me, is a no-no. But that's not the thing, because there's no point crying over spilled milk. Solutions are what we need now. I would have thought that the president would have tackled the issue of the pump price of petrol. Before now, I had thought that the president was probably unaware that this whole subsidy thing, the removal of fuel subsidy that did not exist, that led to the increase in the pump price of petrol, was responsible for the sufferings that Nigeria are in today. Things were probably bad, but not as bad as the president is painting it to be before he came. But the president and the APC, and indeed Nigerians, must realize that there are two reasons that the economy is the way it is right now. Two reasons. Number one is the fact that the president increased the pump price of petrol in the name of fuel subsidy removal. That's the one reason. If the country had kept on the price of petrol the way it was, would we be in the mess that we are in today? The second reason is the fact that the president devalued the naira in the name of floating it and unification of the FX window. After the floating, are the FX window unified right now? They are not. But what we have is that the economy has spiraled out of control. The cost of living has increased tremendously. The purchasing power of the people have been reduced tremendously. The prices of good inflation on the increase, gone out of control. All of these are born out of just these two policies of the Tinubu administration: devaluation of the naira and increase in the pump price of petrol. I would have thought that the president, having achieved his lifelong ambition of becoming president, rather than seek second term, because all of this to me is trying to avoid the influences of international politics, the influence of the IMF and World Bank, in an attempt to get second term. Instead of seeking to get a second term, I would have thought that a President Tinubu would look forward to bequeathing a country that is free from the influence of the IMF and World Bank. Free. Because you are president now. Your name will go in the history of Nigeria as one of the presidents. You said you don't want them to use you as story that you did not become president. Now you have become president. So what else are you looking for again? You were already a billionaire in dollars before you came. So what is it that you want to do with money? You said, and your wife also said it, that you don't need Nigeria's money. And I believe it. But the reality on the ground suggests otherwise, because everything that you have done so far suggests that you are using Nigeria money to further enrich yourself and your family. But put that aside. What I would have expected is that the president would have used his position to tackle this fuel subsidy issue. Fuel subsidy is a scam. Buhari knew it. And for some time, I suspected that Tinubu did not know it, but the evidence of the ground proves that Tinubu did know that fuel subsidy is a scam. On May 29, 2023, the president came to announce that fuel subsidy is gone, and consequently increased the pump price of fuel. And Nigerians have grown under it ever since. But the shocking or the annoying thing is that from December last year, January, February, we started hearing from the IMF and the World Bank again that fuel subsidy is back. In fact, we had the likes of El Rufai and some other public figures coming out to say that we are paying as much as 5 trillion naira on fuel subsidy again in 2024. And so I ask myself, which fuel subsidy did Tinubu remove in 2023, and which fuel subsidy has returned that we are paying as much as 5 trillion naira on fuel subsidy again? So I would have expected that the president would have used his position to remove the criminality in this fuel subsidy regime. We know for a fact that the NNPC does not pay anything in cash for landing of refined petrol products in Nigeria. We know the NNPC can choose to sell fuel at 200 naira per liter, even as the president decides to peg. The president can do that. The exchange rate at 400 naira to $1, and the prices of everything will come down. All we need to deal with is the corruption that is in this fuel subsidy regime. You say you are paying up to 5 trillion naira as fuel subsidy. Buhari said he paid 4.2 trillion in the first half of 2023 alone, 3 trillion in 2022, 1 trillion in 2021 and 2020, and so on. And then we hear all of a sudden that NNPC did not receive these subsidy payments. So if you are coming to claim that fuel subsidy is back, we're still subsidizing, the landing cost of petrol is 1,300 right now. The question is that you, Mr. President, must answer, who are you paying this fuel subsidy payments to? Because we know for a fact, and we stand to be corrected, that the landing cost of PMS to NNPC is 0 naira. Zero. The NNPC does not pay in cash for refined petrol product to be delivered to it. It pays for it in oil swap arrangement like the DSDP that we suspect is still in place because it's a very fantastic arrangement on the short term. Only disadvantage being that it will not grow the Nigeria economy with other distillates that the arrangement does not get in return for the crude oil it supplies to the refineries. Landing cost of crude oil is 0 naira. Why can't we as a country, why can't you as the president, having become president, who does not need a second term, why can't you just expose the corruption in this fuel subsidy regime? Bring to book the people who have been receiving this so-called fuel subsidy payment who are not the oil marketers. They are not the oil marketers. It's corruption, corruption, corruption all the way. Corruption all the way. The oil marketers have come out to openly declare to the House of Representatives Committee on Fuel Subsidy that they did not receive any fuel subsidy payment. They were only involved in lifting crude and bringing back refined petrol product through their international partners. This information is available to you, Mr. President. So why not expose the corruption in the fuel subsidy regime and save Nigeria these sufferings that they are having to go through because you increased the pump price of petrol in the name of fuel subsidy removal? A fuel subsidy that does not exist. How do you remove subsidy that does not exist? This is what we expect. This is what I expected from the president. But is this what I got? No. The president seemed to be playing the ostrich, trying to still push this narrative that somebody somewhere is paying fuel subsidy. If indeed that is true, I am happy to be proven wrong. Give us a list of the oil marketers and how much you pay to them as fuel subsidy. And then explain to us at what point of the whole oil swap arrangement that the NNPC is still operating, that the NNPC pays any cash for crude oil to come back to Nigeria, refined petrol product to come back to Nigeria. These are the issues we expect you to deal with, Mr. President, but you didn't handle it. And there's something that we must learn as citizens, because part of the demand of these end bad governance protesters is that, oh, government should bring back fuel subsidy. No. If the fuel subsidy does not exist, how do you bring back what does not exist? The demand should be corrected to mean that the president should reduce the pump price of petrol. That is what the demand should be. So what do we do now that the president is playing ostrich and has not attended to any of the demands of these end bad governance protesters? What do we do? Do we fold our arms and look? Do we cross our fingers and hope for the best? Do we continue the protest? First of all, I think that one of the takeaway from the broadcast of the president is that, number one, we must end this protest because the agenda is not clear and we have achieved beyond the agenda. We needed to let our voice be heard. Our voice has been heard. And if it is just the 10 demands that are listed, is it 10 or 12? Then we will see that this president is claiming to have attended to those demands. It is left for us because it is clear now that the problem is not just with the president. The problem cascades down from the presidency to the ministers to the heads of parastatals, those who are responsible for disbursing or executing some of the policies that they highlighted, the youth investment funds, the federal grants, all of those people in charge of it. There are issues there too. It is possible that the president has given directives for 150 billion, for 50 billion, or 110 billion to be given to youth to encourage entrepreneurship, to encourage grants, conditional cash transfer, all of those things. It is possible. And it is also possible now that the people who are in charge of it are also helping themselves with it without helping the people. Even though the buck stops at the desk of the president, we also have a responsibility to hold these people to account. So first thing that we should do is to hold the people in charge of all of this policy to account. That's the first thing that we need to do. Another thing is that we must also look to focus on the state governors. the state governors are doing worse than Tinubu is doing. All of the state governors. I don't see anyone that is left out of it, not even Lagos State. All of the state governors must be held to account. And now that we have local government autonomy, what are the local governments doing? Question to you. Who is the local government chairman of your local government? Who are the councillors of your local government? Do you know? What is the budget of your local government? What are they spending it on? Ditto the state governors. Do you know the budget of your state? Do you know how the budget of your state is being implemented? All of these fall on the citizens as responsibilities. Look, I know that it is satisfying to come out and abuse Tinubu and insult him and, throw tantrums, but all those are not going to solve anything. What would change Nigeria is intellectual revolution, not the physical revolution that you're calling for. It will just lead to needless loss of lives and destruction of properties that we don't need. And it will just be playing into the hands of the IMF and World Bank, who are just interested in destroying our country. They are interested in forcing our leaders to do their bidding. And if our leaders refuse to do their bidding, like it appears right now, they're trying to force Tinubu to increase the pump price of petrol again in the name of removal of fuel subsidy they claim is back. And if Tinubu does not give in, what do? They destabilize the country to force Tinubu to do their bidding. And if he further refuses, then what do? They destabilize the country, institute regime change so that they can install someone else who will dance better to their tune. So engaging in violent revolution will not solve the problems at hand. It will not. This is my candid opinion to you, and I require an appeal to all the youths of Nigeria to sit down and think. What we need is intellectual revolution. All of the spendings of the current administration, where does the money go? Where does the money go? The design is there, and we fail to see it, to make us consumers. They want us to be consumers. They don't want us to be producers. They want us to be a consumption economy. They don't want us to be a production economy. So they put all the structures in place to make our leaders of industries, to our business people, our political leaders, our religious leaders, our entertainment leaders, our sports leaders, our education leaders, our traditional leaders, all of them, they put the structures in place to use them to make us a consumption economy. And if we're going to get out of it, we need to begin to produce. So how do we do this? This is where citizen collective action arises. We need to solve the leadership problem in Nigeria. All that is going on right now is distraction, distraction, distraction. Before you know it, 2027 is here. And all the structures that we need to put in place to ensure that quality leaders are thrown up for elections again, all those opportunities will be missed. So I want to use this opportunity to call on all of you out there that are doing the protest. We have had a successful run. The international community has taken notice of our protest. The federal government has taken notice of our protest. That is a big win. Forget the spin that some people are trying to put on it, that the protests were not successful. They were hugely successful. So much losses on the part of the federal government. In fact, they felt the heat. So it is a win and we must take it. And going forward, we should go back to our homes and collectively strategize to engage in an intellectual solution provision. We need to solve the problem of consumption. And to do that, we need to solve the problem of leadership, which will require us to set up a brand new political party. We have suggested the Abundance Political Party. The link is in the description for you to join. We have not created the structures yet. We have set a date for that. Once that date comes, we will create the structure. It will be an open thing for all. It is not my political party. It is our political party. I am not the chairman of the party. In fact, I don't even want to be a principal officer in that political party. I just want a political party that is set on right structures and principles so that we can provide a level playing field, that we allow quality leaders with integrity to be thrown up for elections. Once we have that, then we can proceed to solve the followership problem, which is actually solving the food and hunger problem for them. And that can only happen with the free food and social welfare law. This is the part that we need to pursue. We have won. Let's take our win. Let's come back now and regroup and rethink about how we're going to solve the problem. Goats are queuing for 2027. Let's not waste the time that we have trying to argue with them, trying to get into the gutters with pigs. No. Let us take the moral high ground. Let us take the intellectual high plane and think intellectually on how to resolve the problems that we have. We need to get out of consumption. We need to get into production. What is your solution? I've provided these solutions. So many people agree with it. A lot of persons have been joining the Abundance Party of Nigeria. The link is in the description. You can join it too. And if you have your solutions, you can bring them. The time for us to continue on this complaining mode has come to an end. We should stop complaining. We should now start thinking solution. Solution. If we complain, think about it. We have been complaining for how long? Complaints do not bring solutions. It is active decision making to solve problems that bring solution. And that's what we need to engage in right now. That's our show for today. Let us know what solutions you have. And don't tell me it's about breaking Nigeria, because for me, that is not an option. Any other one, we're open to accept it. Thank you very much, and God bless you.